This video was made possible by those over on Patreon. Thank you for supporting the channel. One of the most important Disney lawsuits is one you've probably never heard of. On October 21st, 1971, Disney filed a lawsuit against Dan O'Neill and a few of his colleagues. They were part of the Air Pirates, a group of cartoonists who had a brief run creating Disney parody comics. O'Neill saw Mickey Mouse as a symbol of US American hypocrisy, and therefore he was the perfect target. The comics featured many things I can't show on YouTube, from eating snacks to scenes between Mickey and Minnie that are, well, very loving. But Disney wasn't laughing. The Air Pirates said that what they were doing was covered under fair use, the doctrine in US copyright law that allows people to use unlicensed copyrighted materials in certain cases, including parody. But Disney wasn't buying it. The case dragged on for years, and the Air Pirates were ruled against multiple times. The legal argument against them was that they used too much of the characters as was necessary for their parody. And of course they did not hesitate to make fun of this argument. After accruing a lot in legal fees, Disney settled the case on the basis that the Air Pirates stopped using their characters. This case is really important. Some people say that it set parody back significantly, as the Air Pirates may have had a valid fair use argument, but due to the bias of the time period and Disney's influence, it wasn't possible for a group of counterculture artists to win a case with such vulgar comics. If you want to look them up, keep in mind that the comics go into a number of disturbing, offensive things, and there are plenty of them that I think are in poor taste. But this court case is a notable example of Disney fighting over how their characters are used by others, and it set a template for which types of parody Disney found offensive. But of course, Disney parodies didn't end with this court case.
So how did I take the work of thousands of artists and boil all the credit down into one name? My name. The name on the castle.
It's no secret that people like making fun of Disney, and within comedy, perhaps no type of song is parodied more than Disney songs.
Yes, God! Work, bitch! Yes, twirl! The house down!
But that's not why I'm talking about this.
People protesting over what they are calling the company's quote-unquote woke agenda.
There's a culture war going on right now. It's not difficult to see the protests and the outrage. Pretty much any recent coverage of Disney in mainstream news focuses on the conservative backlash to the company. Basically, they see Disney as this woke threat that are part of, well, a few different conspiracy theories to corrupt the youth and destroy culture. Looking at these protests, it's hard not to think about parody. Just look, and you'll see plenty of signs parodying the Disney font, images, or characters. But these types of parodies aren't only on the right. I've talked before about the Yippie takeover of Disneyland that was both a parody and a protest. For many, Disney represents more than just a company, it represents the United States. And that's what I feel is happening with this ongoing controversy. Sure, you could pick any company that has shown support for the LGBTQ community, though of course it's also more complicated than that. But there's a reason why conservatives have picked Disney. It's a company that for many people represents the US and has been at the foundation of US American culture for so long. And this isn't the first time that conservative groups have specifically hated Disney for aligning with queer people. Music is also an important part of political commentary, and a notable conservative parody from recent years is It's a Woke World After All. Made by an angry ex-Disney employee, it's pretty much what you'd expect.
It's a world of privilege and votes that are cramped. Welcome to Disney's education camp.
Disney's attempts to be more inclusive are painted as bowing to the woke mob. Helping people understand social justice issues is literally portrayed as re-education camps. And of course, there are depictions of the Black Lives Matter movement that show it as some supposedly existential, destructive threat to society. There's a part about Disney's association with the Chinese government, specifically their ties with Xinjiang during the region's ongoing human rights violations against the Uyghur people, which, yeah, I'm also disturbed by that. But it's right across from a depiction of Wuhan scientists carelessly playing with COVID-19. And that reminds me of the racist xenophobic conspiracy theory that China deliberately created the ongoing pandemic. This isn't really about Disney, right? Well, it is somewhat, but it's more about the US. When you have stereotypes of Mexicans climbing over a border wall, something that Disney's never commented on, it's clear that has nothing to do with them. Disney is just a stand-in for the issues they have with US American society, and a lot of the time, it has little to do with Disney. I don't only think this parody is lazy, but I feel like it represents an agenda that seeks to not question, but uphold systemic racism and other horrific traditions that are part of US American society.
It's a woke world after all.
There's also an added layer of the song it's parodying. It's a Small World is a perfect example of the optimism that Walt Disney was known for. It's a humanistic depiction of globalism, advocating for diversity and embracing different cultures. However, it also shows the limited scope and prejudices that Disney's view of the world was also known for. The ride's depictions of other cultures are from a distinctly US American lens, prioritizing stereotypes above accuracy. It's a Small World equates the world's people with the past, from Sweden and Denmark to Italy to Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and beyond. The dolls show us a happy past that never was, in which people's differences vanish into an idealistic haze. So the fact that this song in particular was chosen to reveal Disney's supposed woke agenda is telling. Right now, Disney is in this awkward situation where the right sees them as a leftist threat, but the left sees them as conservative. But when I watch It's a Woke World After All, I don't see someone speaking truth to power. I see the exact opposite. I see someone filled with fear, refusing to acknowledge that the world is changing and that freedom was never truly accessible just for them. And it doesn't take long for that fear to become something worse. Never Smile at an Autogynephile is an interesting song in the sense that it uses the original material mainly as a vehicle to spread a different message. Instead of the original Peter Pan song warning about crocodiles, Ali B's version talks about something else.
Never smile at an autogynephile. No, you can't get friendly with an autogynephile.
Let me explain. Autogynephilia is part of a controversial theory that says trans women are actually men split into two types, one of the types being autogynephiles, men who are aroused by being women. Other YouTubers have explained it better than I can, but that's all you need to know for this situation. As I'm sure you might imagine, this idea isn't too far off from other prejudices about trans women.
Don't be taken in by his narcissist grin. He's imagining how well he'll fit within your skin.
This song clearly takes it even further than the theory I mentioned. The character could be an autogynephile, but these lyrics sound like Buffalo Bill. But it's clear that no matter what, this person is a threat. I mean, that's why they're replacing a crocodile in the original song. Hearing this makes me anxious. I'm reminded of the way the world sees me as a trans woman. I'm reminded of the horrible things people shout at me when I go outside. I'm reminded that people see me and my friends as a threat. Having to navigate the world that way can really wear you down. Up until this point, I've talked about songs that fall under parody or satire, but some songs don't even need to be changed to be used as weapons. One of the most disturbing experiences I've had with a Disney song was when I was on tour in 2018. John and I had just arrived in North Carolina, and before the sound check, decided to go to a local thrift shop to see what we could find. As soon as we walked in, I saw an old white man talking to a black cashier. Well, he was singing Zip-A-Dee-Doo-Dah, and she was clearly not amused.
Zip-A-Dee-Doo-Dah, zip-a-dee-yay.
When she ignored him and continued ringing up his stuff, he kept asking her if she knew what he was singing, if she knew about Brer Rabbit, and he even made a comment about how nobody appreciates it anymore. But then she cut him off, and before I could even process what had just happened, he was out of the store. Seeing that happen reminded me of something from the day before. While John and I were driving down south, we saw signs for something called the Stonewall Jackson Shrine. After looking it up, we found out that it was the place where the infamous Confederate general had died. But the wording was confusing. Labeling it as a shrine seemed to put Jackson on a pedestal. As it turns out, it might be complicated. When the site was first named, shrine was also used to refer to a variety of historic sites. But regardless of the exact original meaning, it's hard not to think about it within the history of the US Civil War, and specifically Confederate myths that people are still trying to dismantle to this day. And they certainly existed back then, while people were deciding who and what was historically important. After a white supremacist rally around a Confederate statue in 2019, park staff noticed discussions online about the Stonewall Jackson Shrine and finally changed the name to the Stonewall Jackson Death Site. So what does this have to do with Zip-A-Dee-Doo-Dah? A lot, actually. You may only know it from Splash Mountain at the Disney parks, but that ride and its theme song come from Song of the South, the highly controversial Disney movie from 1946. And though Bob Iger commented on how the film wouldn't be on Disney Plus because it was not appropriate in today's world, the film wasn't appropriate in the 40s either. The NAACP had issues with the film during its production, and it was protested after release for its ambiguous presentation of black people who appear to be happily living on a plantation post-slavery. Sure, the film is technically set in the Reconstruction era, but you wouldn't know that by watching it. And the song I mentioned wasn't only written with that context, but the refrain appears to reference the chorus of a racist song from the 1800s that I won't say the name of, but you can look up the history of Turkey in the Straw if you want to learn more. Since it was released, Song of the South has been a controversial film, both in and out of the Disney fandom. And when I saw that man singing to the black cashier, I was reminded that Disney is the US. Just like the Stonewall Jackson Shrine, that movie and its nostalgic portrayal of a horrific past shows that myths aren't just common. They're a key part of US history, and in that moment, a Disney song was not a theme for a ride, but an aggressive reminder of a sinister past. Possibly the most well-known recent example of a Disney song being used against others is Proud of Your Boy, the deleted song from Aladdin that made a comeback with the stage musical. If you're not aware, a song about Aladdin wanting to make his mother proud became the namesake for the Proud Boys, an extremist group that, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, are self-described quote-unquote Western chauvinists who adamantly deny any connection to the racist alt-right. But the Proud Boys' actions belie their disavowals of bigotry. But what do they have to do with the song from Aladdin? Well, let's let their founder explain.
We're called Proud Boys because I went to one of my kids' music recitals and some ponce got up there and he gets up and he goes, "Proud of your boy, I'll make you proud of your boy." It's some song from Aladdin. And I was looking around for the dad because I thought there's no way this dad is proud of his boy. And of course, he was the child of a single mom. Duh.
The Proud Boys still use this song, and though their whole thing is obscuring their intentions through edgy jokes and sarcasm, the amount of earnest comments I got in my other video about them that used Proud of Your Boy as a rallying anthem speaks volumes. I'm tired of hate. Making videos about Disney music and how it interacts with our world is one of my favorite things to do, even when the topics are difficult. But at a time where any sort of discussion around Disney focuses on this intense ongoing culture war, it can be hard. I think after months of keeping up daily with what conservative think tanks are saying about Disney, and specifically queer people like me, my need to keep up with this cultural phenomenon can turn nasty. When I'm thinking all the time about these horrible things that people are saying about me, I start looking at myself differently. I can see a direct line between those shouting online and those shouting at me at the train station, then following and spitting on me until I'm able to get away. So to end this video, let's move away from that. Let's use Disney for love instead of hate. Frank Churchill is one of the most notable composers from early Disney. His music played a pivotal role in the company's early shorts and films. You probably know his songs from Snow White, The Three Little Pigs, and he even wrote that Peter Pan song I mentioned earlier. But we also have to remember the context. While Churchill was writing songs that cheered people up, the US was going through the Great Depression. Film and music became escapism for many and was an easy way to forget the hardships of life. So by writing happy-go-lucky songs, he helped people through a difficult time. And he continued to write songs while he was also dealing with depression, tragedy, and addiction. On May 14th, 1942, he took his own life. But he left behind one of the most heartfelt Disney songs of all time, Love is a Song. You might know it from Bambi, where it fits perfectly within the movie's themes of love and loss. I think one of the most beautiful things about music is that it can come from so many different places and mean so many different things. But when you have a really good song, a song that just speaks to you, no amount of words can convey what that means. I can talk all I want about why I love certain songs, but that will never be enough. And that's what makes this channel so exciting for me. I'll never truly be able to describe the magic of music in just words, but I can always keep trying. This song isn't just a song, it's a vehicle for an indescribable feeling that pulsates through your heart. This song is a warm hug. Love is a song that never ends. Life may be swift and fleeting. Hope may die, yet love's beautiful music comes each day like the dawn. Hope may die, yet love's beautiful music comes